Very much shocked. We are about to get into our fourth game of the day as Alliance and Millennium take to the stage to fight for the victory. Yesterday, Alliance pulled off a spectacular win against Fnatic, and to quote Wicked, played their best game in the LCS so far.
Yeah, they look very strong, but the thing right now, what team will we actually see of Alliance? Because we have seen them being up, we've seen them being down, you never really know what to expect, and for me, they just seem to rely a lot on getting a very good early game, and then kind of, snowballing it from there, not rely too much on the rotations or the shot calling, but more the fact that they can win the lanes and then take it from there. And both the bot lanes, we have to highlight from both Millennium and Alliance yesterday, they look so strong. Everyone was stepping up, the supports, the setup kills for everyone, and the AD carries. Taps and Creaton really stepped up their play, and they more or less were there when the team needed it. And we really need this Creaton.
Really need Creaton. He still stood by his statement saying, I still don't think that I can carry games, despite being 14-0-7, I think it was by the end.
Like that.
Something ridiculous by that one. I actually have the exact number right here. It was 14-0-7, so should trust the brain a little bit more. But both teams, we have to say, although they have the same strengths, they seem to have the same weaknesses as well.
Yeah, we actually have two teams that remind pretty much of each other. They have like the same way of playing. They both rely on the very strong early game and then trying to snowball it. Because the shot calling, we actually had Creaton admitting yesterday they didn't have a shot call because nobody could really step up for this. Alliance been kind of having the same issue. So it's going to be maybe a messy game right here. Or we can actually see a game very one-sided if one of the teams is winning the early game and they can simply just take it from there and roll it over.
Yeah, a very back-and-forth game is kind of what you'd expect from two teams that aren't calling to the highest of their abilities. But Millennium had 2 games after their return from Brazil where they lost versus Rocket. However, they did beat the Super Hot Crew very convincingly.
Yeah, and that was actually a great game by Millennium. They did pretty much everything right. The early game was fantastic for them. And they played this pick combo where you don't really want to teamfight too much. You rather just spread it out and have Super Hot Crew move around and then catch them out. And it did this pretty much to perfection. They delayed it a little bit because, they didn't want to risk losing this game. And that's how it is when you have lost so many games already. Yeah. But overall, they played really well. And especially Kevin for me. Kerb obviously was like the big guy. But then you had Kevin with the teleports on Warwick. He came down multiple times, set up kills, every time he altered the target, the rest of Millennium would jump on this one and just instantly kill him. And especially the TP he did early in the game in the 3v3 and down bot lane, where they pretty much got 3 kills, and then from there on they just snowballed it.
Yeah, but despite being that far ahead, they actually played it very, very slowly and cautiously to the end, and I think that's in part to the fact that they've not really been able to do it much up until now.
But that's the thing, I mean, if you have been ahead so many times, and then you have lost the game, you kind of start believing in the way you're doing it, and stop believing, and you really want to play it safe. Sometimes you can play it too safe and you end up losing the game on it, but all in all, the way they did it this time, patiently, they didn't give Super Hot Crew any chances to come back in the game, and they just spread out on the map. They forced the Baron as well, where Super Hot Crew went up, and then they just took the kills they needed, and they actually finished the game. So I like the way they played it, and I really like the way Creaton and Jiri played in the bot lane. You have to highlight this. Jiri, I think he hit like 2 or 3 flash hooks. We had Creaton with the 14-0 score. And they're in the first split for alternating. They were pretty much spot on bot lane every time. Creaton was a superstar. He just carried so many games. If we can see him return to this, we always talk about it in this season, how we need Creaton to step it up. If he can actually keep this going, and with the backup from Jiri, I see Millennium being very strong.
16-126 between them for that victory that they had over the Super Hot Crew yesterday. Brilliant stats for them. But let's have a look at the starting lineup. Starting on the blue side with Alliance for this one. They are, of course, Wicked in the top lane, Shook in the jungle, Froggen in the mid lane, Tabs and Nif, the AD carry and support.
And on the red side, we have Millennium with Kevin in the top lane, Aranea in the jungle, Kerb in the mid lane, Creaton as the AD carry, and Jiri on support.
So our featured matchup for this game will focus on the mid lane. Yesterday, Froggen really did step up his game. After what's been a rocky start to the season for him, he's been constantly winning though. There was 1v1s in the mid lane against Xpeke, which we didn't really expect.
No, but that's because Froggen has been so hit and miss. Again, just like the rest of Alliance, you're not really sure which person shows up. He has these games where he's like playing absolutely amazing, and then Alliance is winning. So he's like key for them. He needs to win his mid lane, and they also keep making the calls. And obviously, Froggen is a great player. We know this. We have seen it before, and especially his performance yesterday versus Peke. He got some ganks from Shook in the start, helped it snowball, great synergy with the Gragas and Pantheon, and then from there on, he even took kills alone versus Peke, and just managed to carry pretty much, go through the entire game like that.
Well, his opposite number, Kurt, managed to get rolling in Millennium, solid win against the Super Hot Crew, and he was pretty much unstoppable throughout the game with that LeBlanc.
And this is the Millennium tactic. Kerp wins his lane, and then he roams around, and that's why he loves LeBlanc. He loves to play these, generally the assassin types, where he can actually make plays. And that's also why we see Ernia so often staying around his lane, helping him out. And if he can do this today, if they can shut down Froggen with Ernia and Kerp, and he can roam around, I see actually Millennium winning this game.
Well, let's have a thought forward into the champion select for this one. Where are we going to see things prioritized? Will they go to the likes of Creaton, who it's quite obvious from our eyes that although he reckons that he can't actually carry games, when you end 14-0-7, you've done a lot to help you win that game.
You have done quite a lot. But he's been playing quite a different amount of champions, so he doesn't have like a favorite that you have to target out. It's more maybe towards Kerp. He loves to play LeBlanc. He's been picking it every time it's open. You can ban that one away. Maybe in general try and force him on a bit of a weird assassin like Fizz we have seen before, where it didn't work out too well for him. If they can manage to do this and then have like Gragas, Kale on Froggen, play it safe, get to these team fights, and then take it from there, it would be very smart by them. At the same time though, supports, they play the same. We've heard it before how everyone plays the Annie, Fresh, and Leona. Will they try and go for this, or could we potentially see like a Zillion coming out of Jiri?
A Zillion, something that he has already gone in there for. Will we see something completely different? I hope we do. I'm not sure if we actually will in this one, though. I have to also ask you about the top lane, because it's Wicked versus Kevin. Two guys who, for me, are among the more solid top lanes, although Wicked, I think, has made a few interesting decisions, let's call them, in terms of itemization so far this year.
Yeah, the items from Wicked has been kind of weird, to say it safe, but the last few weeks, or the last week at least, he's actually been building more standard, and it's been working out for him. He's been this tanky threat they need, and he's been having an impact on these games. He kind of stopped with the whole crit Malphite or whatever it was he went with. Kevin, he's just a solid guy. He will do well in his lane, and he will do well in team fights, and he will always do what you expect him to do. He actually told me that he's not afraid of Wicked's Trundle. So I'm really looking forward to see if Wicked locks it in, what he will counter it with.
Well, with that, you'd expect that they're going to let Trundle through without really giving a second thought to that one. We're going to find out, though, because we're hitting Champion Select as to what's going down. First ban is a Warwick. And Darian will be up on his feet celebrating by now. Kevin's not that kind of guy, though. He's just like, whatever.
But this is a respect ban also to Kevin. Because he was so good on this Warwick with the teleport, constantly setting up everything he needed to do. And he helped the entire Millennium pretty much snowball game. And just as we talk about him having a counter to Trundle, maybe Warwick was actually the counter. That's why they banned away now.
Very possible. I mean, if he wasn't scared of it before and he was quite happy to let him have it, then you wouldn't ban it out, would you? But maybe, as you said, Warwick was the idea that they had coming into this one. So let's have a look at the next bans that come out. Between the junglers, obviously, Elise sticks out, as it does always with every jungler, because it's Elise at the end of the day, especially if you play a full AP Elise that can steal Barons quite easily, as we just seen from Jankos. Actually, the ban is aimed in there at Ziggs towards Kurt.
I'm a little bit surprised about the Ziggs ban, because the time he actually played it, it didn't go too well for him. He even lost his lane, and he didn't really have an impact on the game, and we know he loves to play these assassin types. So I'm a little bit surprised about that one. The Gragas ban, though, towards Froggen, very standard. He's been, again, he's been a bit hit and miss on it, but when he's been there, he's been very good on the Gragas.
See what he goes for this time around with that Gragas out there. Lucian was taken away. We talked about, we wondered if Creaton's going to get aimed at. You rightly pointed out, though, that he actually got a bigger than most AD carries champion. We've seen him bringing Ezreal, for example, to the table.
As well. He brought up to Tristana yesterday. It didn't work out too well for him, but I still think he believes in it. It wasn't like he didn't get destroyed. So if they actually think it's a good pick, there could be a possibility now, just as the lock in Caitlyn, though. They did give away the Elise for Shug, though, so he's been getting now. Overall, what I would say the safest jungler, the thing about Elise is that you can build every kind of combo around her, because she's just good in every aspect of the game. Millennium, though, instant locking Caitlyn Fresh, it is one of the strongest 2v2 combos at the moment. You have the safety of the Lantern, you have quite good poke, and at the same time you have the ability to siege turrets constantly.
I'm really excited to see Elise with Shug, because throughout this season, they've targeted poor old Shug, and specifically with Elise bans, he's not been able to actually play that Elise up until now. He tried his hand with Vi, with Kha'Zix, with Lee Sin, with pretty much everything that he could think of to get things going. Pantheon was a good one for him in that win against Fnatic. This time around, he does get the Elise. On the other side, though, as you said, Caitlyn picked up there. And funnily enough, he's only played Caitlyn once right now, up until now in this season as Creaton, and that was actually in their victory over SK Gaming, where he finished 5-3-6 on that Elise. Other side, it's going to be Jinx Renekton.
Yeah, the Jinx being locked in, it's a very hard lane for her. If she does go 2v2 versus the Caitlyn and the Thresh, you could potentially see Alliance trying to do some movements around the map early on, because he will, unless they get the help from Shook needed, not really be able to do too much. They can't really harass the Caitlyn. And also you have the Thresh with the hook and the Lantern coming in. If this is going to be a Vi locked in, it's a very long gap you can actually close if you jump in with Vi, get the Lantern, and then activate your ultimate. It's very risky for this low mobile Jinx to actually do anything against. Wicked getting though the Renekton. Again, it's a safe pick. Another thing about the Lee though for Shook, they instant locked it. Like on the second, there was no doubt they wanted this Elise. It's clearly the #1 priority pick. They even let something like Kayle go through, and Millennium has been so far as well. They blank for Curve.
The blank for Curve, the Vi for Aranea. Kayle has been open though throughout this pick and ban phase. That is a very real possibility. Plus the Annie for Nifty has pretty much rotated around there between Thresh and Leona. He's had only one game where he's not played Thresh or Leona. That was actually his Annie game against the Super Hot Crew when they lost. Didn't have a great game in that one. Kayle coming out for Froggen as well. We know how strong Kayle is right now. He played it against Gambit, but again, didn't make that much of an impact.
He didn't have too much of an impact, and the issue for him versus the Millennium combo is that if Millennium decides to spread out on the map again, you know, keep Curb hiding somewhere and then instantly keep a target, Kayle won't really be there to save it unless it's Kayle herself who face checks it. In an open teamfight though, if he times his ultimate correctly on the target that Curb is going for, he can completely remove all the damage Curb has done.
Well, it comes onto Jayri, a man who has dared to bring that Zilean to the table already. Played it against SK. Again, it feels like a trend that I'm going for through these picks. Didn't really go well for him, actually. 0-4-7 that he finished with that one. Jayri's another one of those support players, similar to Edward and Yellowstar, that like to cycle through the exact full amount of champions that we've got in League of Legends.
They're just showing off how many champions they have on the tournament rule.
They got it. They got all of them.
They got all of them.
Because they obviously have them all. So it's nothing really that special. But what will he land on? That's the interesting one here.
Mundo would be like the go-to pick. We've seen it before. Shyvana actually. Not really having the dual potential she used to have versus this Renekton, but you know, if you get later in the game, you get around the level 10-11 mark, you can actually start doing quite a lot of damage to him. Teamfight-wise, Millennium is not really looking for the straight 5v5s. They want to do the pick comp again like they did yesterday. They have pretty much everything they need for it. Vi can lock down a target, follow up by Curb. The hook, follow up by Curb. The split pushing coming in from Kevin, and at the same time you have the safe wave clear and Creaton, just constantly staying in the mid lane and keeping the lane shoved up, so that Millennium can make plays all around else on the map. The combo from Alliance though, way more teamfight based. They really want to get into these 5v5 situations. They want to force the dragon, try and start something. And in this game, if Froggen can manage to land his ultimates on the targets Curb are going for, he can completely remove him in a teamfight, and that can be a big issue for Millennium.
Big issue going through, and just want to touch on that Shyvana now, because we did see it with Kevin for the first game that Millennium played this week after returning from Brazil against that Rockhack team. They lost that game. Yeah. How convinced are we with Shyvana in the top lane right now after the changes?
Not very convinced. Definitely not by Kevin in that game. He actually was pretty much without any impact.
Yeah.
And that was mainly, again, Shyvana has been nerfed. It's a lot harder to hit the point where you can duel everyone in this split push scenario. But they obviously believe in it, and they believe Kevin can, shove Wicked out of the lane once you get a few items and a few levels.
Well, let's tally up the numbers and see which team you guys think are going to win this one. With 67% of the vote, Alliance currently leading Millennium. And I think you guys at home are pretty much always right. In some cases, a little bit wrong. Sometimes 90% of you wrong, I have to say. But 67% towards Alliance. They've done well at the start of this week. They beat Fnatic. I mean, that's a massive win for them. But is it realistic for this game against Millennium, who themselves have been kind of good here, but rubbish in the game before? Alliance, we don't know which Alliance is ever going to turn up.
That's the thing, honestly, I think it's impossible to predict a game like this. Both teams are hit and miss. We don't really know what we get from this. I would say it's completely 50-50, and it's going to rely on the fact that can Millennium make their pick combo work? And will Alliance actually fall for it? Will they let Millennium have it working? Will they move around in the jungle, get caught up by Curb, of course, and then shut down?
Let your feelings be known on Curb. But here we go then, Alliance versus Millennium into the game. Kevin again there, you see, playing that Shyvana, hopefully for him to better success than they had against Rocket, but again, they just line up across the entire map here. Millennium, though, we have to say at level 1, because they're almost unlike most other teams, that they do seem to have some interesting level 1 strats and don't seem to be scared for going for a bit of an invade.
No, normally they actually grew up as 5 and then they moved to, to one of the jungle sides and just go in 5 people, try and catch someone out and get a kill. It's what you can do when most teams are doing the same level 1 every game, because normally you keep a guy in a bush just waiting, and if you can go in, catch him out like by surprise and pick up a kill, it's actually a very good start. This game though, they don't really fancy their chances. We're going to see very standard level 1. Everyone has the trinket ward as well. It's, yeah, very normal.
Very much by the book here between these two teams, and it'll be interesting to see who's stepped it up and whether they can keep the form that they're in, because these two teams right now both won their last game. So they're on a, I don't know if we can quite call it a winning streak at this point, because it's just one game. That doesn't technically count as a streak for the most part. And
both teams expected a lot more for this season than actually what's been happening so far. None of these teams expected to be among the bottom teams. They really wanted to go in here and show how good they were this season.
Well, they might change in this one. Jerry's actually going to go straight through from this one. Stun comes down from Nif, but what are they going to do with it here? Bit of damage exchange, actually a lot more as the Piltover comes through. No kill, though, at level 1.
And notice how Millennium completely ignored Nif right here. They want to go straight to the AD carry and poke him down. Jinx is now forced to, constantly go in for the safe CS, not where Creaton can poke her. If she gets too low, she's going to be forced to recall very early.
Well, Creaton will be feeling quite happy, I'm sure, with the starts of this one. Jerry and support. These two, they've worked perfectly almost since we've seen them coming into the LCS. Obviously, last season and last summer split with alternate. Same team that they have pretty much outside of obviously that change from the top lane with with Kevin coming in and Kurt moving to that mid lane. And there he is, going in on towards Froggen.
But yeah, talking about the underrated players from earlier, Jerry has always been one of these underrated players. He's constantly performing. He's never really having a bad game, and he's always there to help Creaton. And right now, look at his bot lane. Level 2 to level 1, they have built up this huge wave now, and they can just harass Alliance under the turret and make it very hard for taps to CS.
Does that mean that we'll see an early push down to the bottom lane for Shook? He actually does have both of his buffs on right now. Not with the double buffs at level 3. And he's currently just doing his wraiths there. So we'll see if he tries to get involved. Mid lane going to be very, very hard to gank. Outside of that slow, really Kirk can get away before Shook can get his cocoon in position.
Yeah, I mean, Kerb, he will more or less be able to free farm in this lane, but same with Froggen. The thing about Kale is, he doesn't really destroy anything except for maybe melee assassins lane-wise, so it's going to be fairly safe for Kerb to farm. Froggen will try and shuffle him a lot, and then Kerb just have to CS under the turret and get what he needs. Kill potential-wise, it's very hard for him after level 6 to actually kill Froggen due to the ultimate.
And top lane, Shyvana versus Renekton. I feel like we've said this so many times, but it is one of those lanes where, they're going to be bullying each other. Wicked's probably going to be pushing Kevin back until the later stages of the laning phase.
Yeah, it's more or less you trade. Oh, we actually going in trade.
Well, Creaton's in trouble here. The Jumper's actually getting him locked up, but they've not quite got the damage to finish things off. They sidestep the hook from Jerry. Creaton not really having what he wanted, but look at this. Aranea is going to be losing out there to Shook. Who is he going to come across for this one? He actually gets Cocoon, but he's already pushed through. Kevin going to dive in there. Shook is going low. Shook's a dead man. First blood comes down, and it might be a second one here. The chains didn't quite have the range from Kerp onto Wicked, but what a first blood.
And notice how Kevin, even though he was pushed to his own turret, he moved down before Wicked and collapsed onto Shook, so he had nowhere to go except for trying to flash the wall. Even if he did that, they might have been able to go for an extra hook coming in.
Oh, that's a great hook as well. Tab's forced to flash away. Nif doing the smart thing there and stunning up the Caitlyn at that backside of things so that Creaton couldn't get in there to do any more damage.
If we have to touch on the thing in bot lane, Alliance did the perfect engage more or less. They got caught out Creaton with everything they had. He wasn't able to net away from the traps from Jinx due to him being stunned, so they got a lot of free damage on him, and that's what they need to get back in this lane. Otherwise, they will just get out-poked.
Wicked had a bit of a feeling that RNA was waiting around. I don't think he spotted him either, not by the position that he's gone for, and Wicked gonna get the double slice and dice straight through, not having to use his flash from that one. and he will just go back off. Wicked, a man who's been over the years used to being camped, quite frankly. But Creatine here is in a lot of trouble. Barrier is in there. Flash was still available and actually will net away from it. But again, taking a ton of damage, using Barrier, using Flash. He's now a prime target for sure.
Yeah, Nif and Tabs were completely baiting this one. They actually thought they had recalled, but they stayed in the bush and waited for this one. And as soon as they come close, they went in for it. And now Shook being caught out again.
Oh, this could be bad news for Shook, but we do have Froggen coming around the side. There are the chains procking off. He's going to get stunned up. Have they got the damage to finish him up? Yes, they have. Shook goes down. Arenea's going to fall as well. That's double buff for Froggen. And Froggen actually turning things around, having a go at Kurt from that one as well. But Kevin is coming down. I don't think they can catch Froggen. And actually Kevin backs off. Shook being caught out again, but differently this time. They killed Arenea and they got the double buffs.
Yeah, this time Froggen was there to help. He came up together with Kerb and they could fight for it. Kerb was completely that's why he couldn't take down Shook earlier, and they had to sacrifice Arenea for it and now give the double buff to Froggen. This means he will be, you know, very comfortable in this lane.
And he's now at level 6, which makes the comfort levels even higher for him now that he's got that intervention to basically stop Kerb really doing that much, any critical amounts of damage to him, and being able to actually finish him off from that one. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, both AD carries back in there now. Both got exactly the same items. Not exactly the same. Boots of speed in there for Tabs as well, but both with the Doran's Blade and with the Vamp Scepter.
I actually expect to see Arenea try and put some focus on this bot lane once he hit his level 6 mark. With the Lantern, we talked about it in Champs, like the gap he can actually close. It's more or less impossible to ward against him, and if they can collapse on either Nif or Tabs, they should be able to take them down.
Well, Crichton and Jerry are definitely pushing that lane up there as Froggen actually forced to use his intervention there. And Arenea is going to hit level 6. Shook is on the top side. They know where he is. They're going to go for Shook. Actually, Arenea just missed there. He can ult him, and there is the Assault and Battery. Chains go down. They fly in here. They get that kill. Froggen's got no ultimate here. He probably has to back away. He's having a bit of a go at Kerb, but that's not the real Kerb. That's a fake Kerb. Froggen will kill it off anyway, just as a sign of territory. But Shook dies again.
But due to Kerb jumping on Froggen at first, he forced out the ultimate, so when Shook came in, there was nothing to save him, and he's just getting out-jungled by Arenea right now. Everything Shook does, Arenea is ready for him and just going on him instantly, getting the kills.
And look at that, the blue buff that Froggen, well, I say that Froggen needed. I mean, he does need it because the double buffs that he had there are going to be timing out pretty quickly. You certainly don't want to be losing your buffs, that's for sure, but not really much they can do once Shook is taken down. Arenea playing his positioning perfectly there. He read Shook like a book and was there at that rush on the river before him.
Yeah, the general tactic for Alliance have been a lot of Shook is ganking Froggen's lane, helping him out. So right now, Millennium is just countering it. Everything Shook does, Arenea, he's expecting it, and he's nearby spotting him out, and then the entire Millennium just collapsed. They're always the first ones to move in there and get the kill they need.
Look at the CS, Arenea on Vi's head in that front, heading kills by a country mile, 2-1-1 compared to the 0-3-1, and more importantly probably at this stage of the game has those boots of mobility on already, so he's able to be where he wants to be that bit quicker than Shook can.
Yeah, he's definitely way more mobile at this point. He can also jump the walls due to him being by. At least doesn't have that option. He can only jump to minions or champions. So a lot more mobility for Arenea, and he's so far ahead in both XP now and items that if there is a fight, he's way stronger and Millennium can win it. Another thing I noticed is the fact that Kevin is completely even with Wicked and CS top 1 wise. Shyvana will outscale the next time, so this is actually very good for him.
Doing a good job. You can see now up at level 8, actually higher level than that of Wicked. He's doing a great job of constantly pushing him out. Got the workings of that Sunfire cape, and look at this, Millennium are actually starting to work their way around by the enemy red buff. That's actually gone. Shook took that just a little bit earlier on. We did see Elise move towards this bottom lane. This could be bad for Alliance if Shook shows himself while they're so close.
Oh, they're spotting now, yeah, they're actually moving down. It is warded though with the ping, so they will see them coming. Froggen is also moving down. They're expecting something to happen.
And they'd be right. There's a hook coming out, and it was nicely repelled away from by Shook, and the Chomper's going to just close off that area completely. Not allow Millennium to get through without sacrificing much, although you know, Arenea and Kerb can both do the jumps over there. Will they go in towards the dragon? There is Froggen. Actually will throw down the slow on towards Arenea. Manages to dodge one, but the chains are going to come in onto him. They've just not got the damage, especially with intervention there. You know that you're almost going to waste things throwing it at Froggen.
Yeah, and Kerb already used his ultimate. He need that for, you know, the burst damage. I like the ward though coming out of Millennium. deep wards from the start. They know they're ahead. They want to make sure to see where Shook is so they can catch him out again and again. If you lock down a target with Vi and then Curb jumps with it, especially the very squishy Shook right here, there's nothing you can do other than just die.
One of the interesting facts yesterday, I think, from Creaton's interview at the end of the day was when he said, no, we felt like we were out of practice. Shook here just got a face check in towards Aranea. Does manage to get himself the cocoon down. Aranea's losing out on this fight. And there is Froggen coming across the side. He's not going to get away. Intervention news there. He was expecting Aranea to turn around. Didn't really need it, but... you know, I suppose he gets himself the assist.
He got the assist, he got some gold on, he doesn't have his ultimate now though, if Curb's going for him.
Oh, Curb does go for him, but look at the blast back and Froggen gonna go aggressive. He's got no mana, but he's got the ignite, and that's gonna be enough. Meanwhile, Jay Ree down in the bottom lane, he's got all kinds of cords out from it. Tibbers goes down, there's the kill. Nip picks that one up. The box will actually slow them from chasing Creaton to death. But those kills for Alliance just sweeping across the map.
But Joe, what is Millennium doing? They were so over-aggressive, they completely overextended. Aranea was caught behind the lines, and Curb couldn't even move for him because Froggen was in between them. So he basically went for Shook alone, and Froggen just came in, collapsed on him, and forced him to run away, so he died. Later on, Curb tries to dive Froggen so early in the game, and he just gives up kill for it. And the bot lane, we've seen it again. Every time Nif lands a stun, they go for this one. Millennium was ahead, but now 3 fast kills for the Alliance and a Dragon, and they're in the driving seat.
Yeah, and the fact is that the Alliance have been doing better in terms of the CS numbers as well. So with that switching kills, with the Dragon going their way, we can see that gold has now settled to 2,000 almost in their favor. Great little turnaround from Alliance. 2-0-1 Kayle. We know what happens when a Kayle gets fed. It's bad news for everyone on the other team.
And we also know what happens when Froggen is playing well.
Yeah.
The entire Alliance is stepping up their game. His calls getting better and better. So for him having this start, it's perfect. And the fact that you actually just punish Millennium for the overextend they did before means Alliance now will at least looking to be winning this early game. But you see Curb, however, moving towards the top lane. Wicked is fairly low, and his ultimate is on cooldown.
Half HP, no ultimate in for this one. There is the damage coming in. He's got a flash, but honestly, is he going to use it? Where's he going to go? He actually flashed in towards Kevin there. For me, maybe not the best of flashes. You know you're going to go down sometimes. Aranea does get caught out in there, diving onto him. He's not escaping this one. Froggen picks that one up. He's now 3-0-1 on the killing spree. Alliance get a turret as well.
Great counterplay from Alliance right here. They knew Curb was top lane. It was only Aranea to defend, and he was an easy target. The flash cocoon coming in from Shook, that was a nice play. Top lane wise, the reason Wicked flashed was he tried to stun Kevin under the turret and then maybe pick up a kill with it. I think actually he did land the stun, but it wasn't enough.
Not quite enough damage coming out from that tower. Alliance have also pushed this bottom lane, and well, that's a textbook rotation that they're going for now. Take the middle tower, bottom lane's already pushed up, the 2 guys in mid move to bottom, easy peasy.
Yeah, especially because they knew Curb was still top lane and they knew Aranea was dead. So there was nobody to come down and defend with the bot lane of Millennium. It's a nice rotation from Alliance, and they're just using their lead pretty much perfectly and playing very low risk, to be honest.
Low risk. High reward in these last few minutes, that has to be said here as well, as Alliance start to just get away from it, and Jerry not quick enough to get in there towards Tabs. Actually Shook though, might be in a little bit of trouble. Kurt misses his chains, and look at the blast back there from Froggen. That is a 3-0-1 Kayle that's already able to burst people that hard.
And he's not even having that much AP yet. Once he builds up a death cap, which he's probably getting fairly close to with all the gold he's picking up on the map, he will be so hard to deal with for Millennium, and they have to try and burst him down, but you can't because it's Kayle. And Shook going in for the
he's going in for it, and actually, no, he didn't be able to steal that one away. Great last second intervention. Can he get through though? No, the ace in the hole comes in, but Aranea, he's just walking away from that one. Not sure how Froggen couldn't quite finish him off. One more auto attack would have done it, but now they're closing in. Aranea is, where did he go actually? He's up on the top side there. He's already gone around. Oh, Nif flashes over the wall, and there is Kirk caught out. Tibbers comes down. Jay Ree's at half HP. Have they got the damage to finish off Creaton? Trying to force them back. Froggen does not care at this point. Tanks a couple of turret hits. And Millennium, they could actually do some good turret damage here, or maybe not. Creaton is still there.
Wicked is pushing the mid lane though. Kevin took the blue buff from Alliance, and he's now moving towards here to stop him. One thing we have to notice though, we just talked about the low risk thing, and then they actually go 2v4 trying to steal the blue buff with Shook. He did end up dying for it, but due to Nif being around, he could come in and they could take the revenge kill onto Curb and then, you know, go even 1-for-1 at least.
Well, this is what we thought about this game, that we were going to see maybe some messy play from both teams with the fact that they've been struggling on making the right calls, and just generally the whole teamwork has not been on par for both of them. And that's kind of what we've seen here. Millennium with a good start, overextending, Alliance bringing in a load of kills, and now they've just lost a couple of their own. So this game's certainly got a lot more to offer coming in. I still have to point out Froggen, though, 4-0-1, miles ahead in CS. Got himself the workings now of that Lich Bane to add into his Nash's Tooth.
Yeah, I mean, Alliance are definitely, you know, I'm not going to say in the driving seat again because I already used it, but they are in the lead, and they're also the team with the best late game combo if they do get these team fights going. Millennium will try the same tactic with the, like they did yesterday with the pick comps, but if Alliance is so far ahead they can just go 5 people up mid lane, you can't really do it because you're forced to go back and defend or at least take a fight. So right now, with Kayle being so strong and with Alliance getting all these kills back they needed, Millennium, they have to think of something. Curb has been trying to roam around a lot and set up kills. He went top and got the kill he needed there. Unfortunately for him, it's not been enough, and he's actually been giving up quite a lot of farm for this.
Quite a lot of farm indeed. 44 CS that he's actually behind there in that lane. AD carries are actually, well, they're bang even, aren't they? 137 to 136 on that front. Top lane, actually Kevin is pulling ahead of that Renekton. We'd expected that to happen here as well, as he starts leveling things up to level 12 now. That works out nicely for him, but look at Alliance pushing up as a unit through the Millennium jungle.
And they're trying to catch them out. They're actually spotting Ernia already with the ward Shook just put down. If they can manage to get full vision control in this area, they should be able to take a dragon fairly safe, or at least force Millennium into a bad fight.
That is Wicked. And Kevin again butting heads on this top lane. Actually Wicked now with that Sunfire cape in there, with the Spectre's cowl as well. He's feeling a lot more confident in that one. As his ultimate was just running. Kevin has this available as well if he needed to leap out of that one, but forcing Kevin out of the lane. Let's not forget that both of these top laners not with any teleport at this point, so it's all about moving down at the right time, which Wicked is now doing.
That's what we see Wicked doing. There's 12 seconds. Kevin is actually going to follow him. Kevin has his ultimate, Wicked doesn't, so he's, you know, he's a little bit stronger in this fight coming in. I see him going for Nif.
Yeah, Nif actually getting caught, or is it all a big bait? There is Tibbers coming down. Well, if it was a bait, it wasn't the best one we've ever seen, because 3 of them there, they killed him off before Jinx and before Elise could really react to that one, and that's almost a freebie there for Millennium. Stood inside of the tri-bush. The question now is, does that freebie kill lead to a dragon for Millennium?
At least for them actually to be, you know, in the favor of this fight. Alliance might still want to try and fight for it because Froggen still has his ultimate and he has so much damage. They might try and go for this one, or maybe they'll just try to take a steal. We will see.
Let's see how good Shook is at smiting down Dragon. Very good, apparently. He's going to pick that one up. Wicked was at the front tanking all the damage. Cocoon actually went through them. They've managed to hook in Wicked. There is the intervention. They turn around. Millennium getting burst down as Kevin will join in the fight up to the back. Good flash from Froggen, but he won't get away. But I don't know if Kevin's going to get away either. Shook did actually die. Well, here comes Jinx pushing straight through. Super Mega Death Rocket already used, so no execution available. And that will be a 2-for-2. Dragon, though, did go to Alliance.
Yeah, Alliance picked up the Dragon, and there were only 4 members there.
Yeah.
Nif was dead. He wasn't even close to being in the fight. So the fact to get a Dragon and 2 kills is a big win for Alliance. And it shows how strong they actually are in these fights. So right now, especially Froggen, the ultimate he lands onto Wicked once he got hooked, it meant that Millennium was wasting so much damage on trying to take him down, and in the end, Wicked actually survived.
Let's have another look at that one. He's starting with a smite from Shook.
But the fact that he can Q smite it is so strong and it's very hard to deal with to execute. But we see right here, notice how they collapse on Wicked. He gets ultimated by Froggen. That is so much damage avoided. Kevin does come in from the backside and gets the kill he needs on Froggen, but he has to flash for it. And in the end, he's not tanky enough to, you know, to survive these 3 members. So he ended up going down and just trade 2-for-2. Smart flash over by Juri. Had he been hit by the slow, he would have died and given another passive proc for taps.
Well, look at this. Passive proc, but this is not passive play. Alliance pushing up towards that blue buff once again. Steal it away. Shook says thank you very much. Don't even need to worry about that one. And now, with Froggen having that Lich Bane complete, it's at 5-1-2. What actually happened to Curb there?
He was fighting against Wicked
Wicked's Renekton against Curb, yeah.
And he barely touched him. He couldn't do any damage towards him, and Wicked already got some early magic resist. He's building the full tank. This is what we like to see from Wicked. You know, some builds where he can really go into the team fights and be the Wicked type we know. The guy who loves to take all the damage and be in the front line of his team.
And Alliance is starting to control the jungle here, scanning as they go. There's a red buff for the taking, which will be given over towards Frog on the top lane. Is pushing right up onto the turret. Is Aranea.
Oh, traps.
Stands straight on top of the Chompers. Wicked, as I said, on that top turret. That's there for the taking. That's not anything that Millennium can stop happening now.
And again, such a smart rotation from Alliance, because they forced Millennium to move towards the red buff to try and, you know, avoid something happening there. So Wicked was just free to take the top turret meanwhile, and now the rest of the team moved up there and joined him. Oh, Curb going in.
There is a full burst, but there is the intervention, and the burst right back at you, Curb. Tabs finishes it off with a super mega death rocket, and that is exactly the danger that we talked about with this LeBlanc against the Kayle, that as soon as Froggen sees who he's going for, he'll give him the ultimate and they'll survive it.
And this time he didn't even need the ultimate. It was actually the barrier from Tabs. The ultimate came in later. Didn't really absorb any damage of this. Meanwhile though, the damage they can put back on Curb when he's actually going in is insane. You saw the burst from Froggen and then the rocket come in from Tabs afterwards.
There's another assist for Froggen. He's got another 1,200 gold to spend. There's 2,700 gold for Tabs to spend as well. Is Aranea going to go in there? Oh, and he just recalled in the nick of time, and he knows that he can't touch Wicked. I mean, Curb, the burstiest on the team, couldn't even touch Wicked either.
No, Wicked is so tanky at this point. I'm not sure how Millennium will deal with him. Creaton is fairly, you know, both farmed and fed, but he needs a last whisper before he can actually deal with Wicked on his own. So before he has this last whisper, Millennium just has to try and extend the game. We have to give him credit though. 3-0 in such a hard early game. It's very nice. Oh, Aranea going for it.
Oh, Shook getting caught out there as the assault and battery going on towards Nif. Chompers come down, stuns on towards Aranea. Can they get the finisher here? No, he gets off to the back. Shook finally goes down to Kevin, and now it is Wicked that has to back away. He was trying to tank him up, trying to run that to run the stoppage. The super mega death rocket completely off target, but look at this. Froggen Lich Bane on him with that Nash's Tooth. He's going to rip through towers.
And once again, a little bit weird movement in this game. Alliance was staying with 2 or 3 people to try and defend this blue buff and got caught out. Nip was in the base and Froggen was split pushing, so they didn't have to really do anything there.
Oh, but Kevin might be in trouble. Nip moving in there. There's the stun coming down. There's the slow. Actually, he hit the minion at the back there, so he didn't get slowed. And that pretty much stopped them being able to chase Kevin through.
It would be very hard for them to actually kill Kevin though, due to the fact there was no ultimate on Jinx, so they didn't have like the last execute burst they needed. On the other hand though, Froggen did manage to take down the bot turret and he's staying around now. He will try and go for Curb.
Oh, he's going to come around the corner. There is Curb and the slow comes in. Half health gone.
That is Q and an auto attack. That is a lot of damage.
Yeah, onto Curb, who himself needs to be able to burst people down, and he's just not been able to do that.
To be fair though, Curb is pretty much full damage. There's no tanky stats on him.
True.
So if he goes in at the wrong time, he will be instantly killed by Froggen or Shook or Wicked or whoever is actually going to be hitting him. And that's going to be quite a big issue, because he will feel very scared to go into these fights, and he really needs to time it perfectly to do something.
See that Wicked actually going for the Hex Drinker as his third item here. I like that he's gone Hex Drinker as his third item, got in those tanky stats before with the Sunfire Cape, with the Spirit Visage.
No, but we can defend the Hex Drinker. It is a smart pickup versus a LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Because once he goes in there, if he's in the face of LeBlanc, he can only go for him, nobody else. And with the Hex Drinker, he will always be able to survive the burst here in the next at least 10-20 minutes before Curb, or if Curb should get really fed, it might be another story.
Half a minute until Dragon comes up. Froggen actually just finishing off the red buff camp there, and obviously the red buff itself as the Lions start to move into position. Millennium ready for this one though, they're moving down as well.
Both teams are ready, and Millennium need to catch someone out.
Oh, actually Aranea went straight in there, but Nif stopped the rest of the team being able to join him. Shook has gone on towards Aranea. Super Mega Death Rocket comes through, does a lot of damage, but can they finish anyone off? There's a hook from J-Reed to stop them down. Millennium losing a ton of HP, no one died, but they can't now challenge for Dragon.
They can't challenge for this one. Alliance used 3 of the ultimate, but nobody went low. They're simply the stronger team 5v5, they're using it here. Nice stun by Nif though. When they went in here for Wicked, he was there, he stunned the target so they couldn't move in. And overall, Alliance is just playing so well.
Wicked there tanked up the turret, and well, it doesn't matter. Arenea's going down from this one. Assault and battery was used, but look at how much damage he's avoided. Finally, he finishes off, and they're able to get in there, get that kill onto him. Shook has gone up in the air as well from the rappel. He finally comes back down. Turret's going to go down. He will fall to the ace in the hole. J-Reed's low, and look at Tabs ripping through them there from that backside. Not quite enough damage to finish off. That's a 2 for 2, but an inner turret went down, as well as obviously the Dragon just before.
But it was a very risky dive by Alliance. They didn't have the ultimates they needed. There was no tables, you know, to come in. The rocket from Taps was not available as well. So they kind of went in with only the ultimate on Froggen, and still they managed to trade 2 for 2 and get the turret they need. It just shows, you know, actually how far ahead Alliance is due to the fact that combo, teamfight-wise, is so much stronger than Millennium's.
Now let's have a look at the gold here. 42,000 to 35,700 gold. Solid little lead that Alliance have. 5 bombing turrets as well, which means that the pressure is really on Millennium here because they're not safe anywhere on their own side of the map even.
No, and it's just a matter of time before Alliance decides, you know, either we're going to split push because we think we're stronger in these 1v1 and 2v2 scenarios, or we're going to group up as 5 people and just shove down a lane and force Millennium to react to it. If you notice though, Creaton, 4-0-1, he needs to be the one carrying Millennium at this point, because he is fit, he has the items he needs, he's almost completing his last Whisper, and he's playing Caitlyn. Late game Caitlyn, you can really do a lot of damage and you can play very safe.
If you stay safe, that's the point.
If you stay
safe. He has to stay safe in these fights because without Creaton, they can't really do anything in them here. We can see that he's pushing up this inner turret actually. He's going to go down by the looks of it. Millennium might not quite finish it off there with the fact that 3 people from Alliance starting to move in, but the fact is that Creaton stood by his statement to us yesterday and said, no, what I said about AD carries not being able to carry, I still stand by that one. Funnily enough, coming into this game, he looks like he's one of the last hopes maybe for Millennium in this match.
He is, and he actually has the good point right here, where Wicked is pretty much the only one who can get to the backline very fast with his double dash. So if he's able to avoid getting stunned by Wicked or the flash tables from Nif, he should be able to be fairly safe and deal out the damage needed. I do, however, feel a bit scared or sorry for Kevin, because once he goes towards this backline of Alliance with both Elise, Kayle, and Jinx, he will die very fast, and then Alliance can kind of rush over the rest of Millennium. They are starting the Baron now. There's no vision on it.
They have the vision advantage. You know that Aranea is coming around. Baron is at half HP. Aranea is still stalking around here. They still hold vision of him. Aranea going to be burst down. He does get it, but he doesn't get the steal. Alliance pick up the Baron, and they pick up the kill as well. They crucially lost very little HP. Coops on the other side of the map, who he will get an inner turret for this one, but he might have to recall because I'm assuming that Alliance to counter that are just going to shove straight up mid.
If they can go and get the inner from this one, because Aranea is dead and Curb is now recalling from the bot lane, with Kayle and with Jinx, you can really take towers fast. Aranea, he almost managed to steal it. You saw on the player cam down there, he knew he was close.
And look at this, they've managed to hook in Froggen. That's going to bait out the intervention. Jerry takes a burst. Oh, super mega, not quite a death rocket. He's going to go flying straight through into the base. Turret didn't go down from that one, but they were factoring in the fact that they could go under the turret with intervention still up. Without that, though, they don't want to risk it.
And they can stay. They have the Baron buff, they have the regen. Wicked is rejoining them now. They can just wait for Froggen's ultimate to be ready before they actually go for the real fight or the dive that they can do actually, because they're so far ahead.
They move up towards the top lane. That has already been pushing in. Aranea sat inside of the bush, which his teammate Kirk tried to use earlier on to burst down Taps, but we all know how that one ended. Kind of fell flat on his face. Is Kevin going to get caught here? They throw Tibbers at it. That's a lot thrown down on towards Kevin. That might come to haunt them a little bit later on if they need the use of Tibbers. They're going to go on towards Tabs. Assault and Battery was used. They push a lot of damage back, but there's a flash group stun for Nif. He doesn't even need Tibbers here. They pick up the first kill onto Jerry. Box times out. Alliance can tank it up. Have another inner turret away.
And we see the ultimate from Froggen once again. Aranea jumps on the target, instantly ultimated by Froggen, and they can't do any damage to it, and the rest of Alliance can come in and collapse on them. There was a bit of a waste of Tibbers, but Nifty just went in and he just stunned 3 people without the Tibbers. That was impressive.
Ritson just got hit by Zap there, and he can't afford to go low. He has to, as we mentioned, stay safe in these fights. But on the same time, he can't be so safe that he has no contribution to the fight. Otherwise, it makes no sense having him in this position anyway. Alliance are rotating around. They can tank it up thanks to Wicked stats.
And that's the thing, again, Wicked, his teamfight job is to just run after Creaton all the time and get him out of the fight.
Well, Wicked here, though, is going to get pulled in. There's the intervention once again. They baited it out of Alliance, but with the bait, they're going to be able to pick up the in-him. Kevin dives in. They are going to go on towards Wicked once again, but Kevin turned back around, and Tabs is going to pick up the kill. Will he follow through? No, but Froggen will. Creaton is able to back away, but for how long? He's kind of zoned out here, and Kerp is going to have to try and burst them back. Both him and Froggen doing a lot of damage to one another, and in the end, they both go low. Ace in the hole! block from Wicked.
But look at the damage they could deal out to Kevin. He jumped in and he was just the target for everyone. Wicked, on the other hand, he didn't even drop below 50% because everyone from Millennium was trying to go for Jinx here. They didn't manage to get the kill, and instead, Kevin died for it, and they took double inhib on Alliance side.
So, after all that, let's have a look down some of the items that were picked up on recall from Alliance. Quicksilver Sash actually coming out there for Froggen. Guardian Angel was picked up by Tabs on Jinx. We also saw an Aegis picked up in the end by Nif. So that's going to give him that shield here coming in. We talked about it before, the Hex Drinker shield, for example, but now they got a second one for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and it's going to help versus the burst from Curve. If you can make a target survive the burst from LeBlanc, you're going to be able to, deal out damage from there. If you get instantly killed, really not much point. We see Curve actually standing right here. Could he try and go for Froggen?
Oh, he can't.
He can't
Do anything to either of them. And
he's only level 13 to the level 14 of Shook as the jungler. Nif is also level 13, just walking by him here.
Froggen's level 17 here. Curve cannot stand and fight with him, that's for sure. And Froggen's only getting stronger. Rabadon's Death Cap with that Lich Bane in there and the Nashor's Tooth. As I said, the Quicksilver Sash was picked up for him on the last time that they went back. There's only one inhib left standing here. And look at Wicked. He does not give a monkeys. He's straight into the back as they burst down J-Ree. He's going to die. There is the Super Mega Death Rocket to seal that one up. Aranea trying to get in. He put his ulti down. Will they be wiped out quickly? It's a double kill for Froggen. There's another double kill coming in. This time though for Tabs. And there is the finisher. Froggen makes it a triple. This is the third and final inhibitor going down, and surely they can win the game with this.
They can finish the game from this, and the team fight combo from Alliance are just showing how strong it is. Every time they start a fight, they win it.
There's 10 seconds until the first man comes back into play, which will be J-Ree. Well, granted, Alliance aren't super healthy from this one, but they can take down these Nexus turrets in a flash, and they're going to finish off the Nexus as well to pick up another win, this time against Millennium. What a fantastic performance for them, and 2 wins again for Alliance, the yo-yo team of the European LCS. 1 week they're brilliant, the next week they look like they don't know what to do. This week, it went right.
But this was such a messy early game for both teams. First, Millennium is doing everything right. They get 3 kills on Shook at the start, and then, they get the early lead, but then they overextend, do some mistakes, and Alliance just pick up kill after kill from there, took the Dragon as well, and then they had the better team fight combo. So as soon as they got to these fights when Millennium was forced to defend, they just rolled over them.
And the teams just going to shake hands with each other. Obviously, these guys have been around a long time. They know each other extremely well. I want to talk about Shook there. You can see him on the left side of the picture. 1-7-10 his performance on Elise. He got caught out really early, not just once, but a couple of times. And then he almost fell in his hands because Aranea went a little bit too far in. The bot lane started picking up kills, and that was when things started to turn around for Alliance.
And that's actually the thing. Even though Shook's score was absolutely horrible, he had the worst possible start you can ever have to a game, he was actually one of them pulling Alliance back. He was there to set up the early kills. When we saw Curb moving up top lane, he went into the mid lane, flash cocooned Aranea, took the kill, and then they could take the turret from there. So even though he had a very bad score, I actually think Shook stepped it up and he managed to help Alliance win this game.
And took the Dragon that Millennium had started off
and
there.
And the Baron as well.
And the Baron as well. Yeah, we should probably talk about the Baron before we talk about the Dragon in that one. Really, really well played. But I have to ask the question again. This is 1 week for Alliance. We've seen this good week from them before, only to be followed up by a distinctly average week afterwards.
Yeah. I don't really think this game gives us too much about Alliance because we need to see them next week. Have they learned anything? Have they prepared something new? This game in general, they managed to punish the mistakes from Millennium when they actually made some, and we gotta give them credit on that. And the team fights were spot on. The ultimate from Froggen, every time a target was locked down by Millennium side, he was there, put down his ultimate, and he stopped all the damage. Especially in the Dragon fight where Wicked got caught, he put down the ultimate. It was 4v5, and they managed to win it.
I also want to talk about, again, Creatine, because he said, after his 14-0-7 performance on Lucian yesterday where they won, the AD carry still can't pull it out. He was the hope for them in this game. He was sat at 4-0-1 right until the very end where he died for the first time. But he just wasn't able to have the impact that, to be honest, Millennium needed from him.
No, but he's one guy.
Exactly.
You cannot do anything when the enemy team is so far ahead and they have such a strong combo. There was nothing he could do. Wicked was just in his face all the time, and he needed the rest of his team to be more tanky or be able to take down a target himself for him to get more room to do something. He was the hope, but you can't really expect either him or an AD carry to actually be able to carry this game.
What about Wicked then? Because we said at the start, that Malphite build, still not quite so sure about what we feel on that one, but Wicked stood by it, and this one he went more of a traditional build, got himself a Sunfire Cape, got himself that Spirit Visage, but then he went a little bit differently, picked up the Hex Drinker, which, as you said, we can expect against a team that's got the burst from Kerp coming in. By the end, almost finishing off the Randuins as well. He was so tanky that he could spend a lot of time diving in, basically keeping Creatine far enough away from the team that he didn't have anything to do or say in those team fights.
And that's the thing. Wicked built for his team this time. When he built the crit Malphite, he talked about afterwards, there was a very good 1v1 and he won his lane with it. It doesn't matter if you don't win the team fights.
Yeah.
This time he went for the full tank so he could be there for his team, and in every single fight he was a big threat and they couldn't kill him. He was just too tanky. So I'm very happy to see him actually changing his build to be more team fight based.
Well, hopefully he sticks with the winning formula for that one. Well, guys, let's check in with Shox and Demon, who actually have alliances shook with them after that great victory.
Thank you very much, Joe. As said, we are joined by Shook, the jungler for Team Alliance, after the second victory this weekend here for Alliance. Yesterday, Fnatic. Today, Millennium. Tell me what the plan was going into Picks and Bans versus Millennium.
Our plan was to basically outpick them, and we managed to do that, and we basically won the game in Champion Select, I think.
Now, obviously, you managed to get Elise. It's a champion that most people rate as the top jungler, but didn't exactly go so well for you in that game.
Yeah, I was planning on invading Vi a lot, but I managed to die because I'm pretty tired today. That affected my gameplay by a lot, but it turned out in the mid game well with the smites combined with the Elise Q. Still went well.
Tell me a little bit how that went in your head, because then you are in that game on a champion that's really good, Elise, and then you fall behind again. Does a fear creep in, like, we're gonna lose this game?
No, I had full confidence in my team carrying me, so that went well.
And your team really did carry you. I mean, it was a very good performance from Alliance, and this is a resurgence. We saw it in week 2, we're now seeing it in week 4. Is week 5 gonna be a bad one?
We'll have to see.
Tell me a little bit about not only the team, but you personally, because you've had a hard time those first weeks in the LCS. There's nobody that can deny that. How has it been from your perspective?
I had to adapt my playstyle a lot. In Copenhagen Wolves, I could manage to play more aggressive and invade more. That has to do with the meta as well. And right now, I still have to find my best jungle style right now in this season.
So where do you gauge Alliance in the standings? Obviously, you're mid-table at the moment. Do you guys see yourself taking one of those top spots? Because at the moment, everybody is kind of beating each other.
If we keep up practicing hard on our teamwork, I think we still manage to get top 3.
Tell me a little bit about how the things you were talking about in the team right now, because when it goes that up and down, you can't set a clear goal. What is the main thing you guys are working on?
Just communication issues that need resolved, and just shot calling, drakes, barons, rotations.
So is there anything that you guys maybe have changed in the practice, in the scrims that you guys obviously have? I remember Froggen talking about it after week 1, saying how the rotations were terrible. Things weren't working in scrims. Is it something that you guys have purposely said to the opposition teams instead of the 15-minute stomps, which sometimes scrims are? You said, look, let's play it out. We're only interested in finishing the games.
Yes, that's definitely a thing we did in scrims. We actually played after 15 minutes, so we managed to get some practice with mid games and late games, and definitely improved our playstyle.
If we take it outside the game now, this is playing on the LCS stage every week. Have you maybe underestimated how much pressure comes with that and how you're able to adapt to that?
Can you repeat that question?
If you maybe underestimate the pressure that comes with playing in the LCS every week and having to perform.
I went to a lot of tournaments with Copenhagen Wolves, so I wasn't really pressured on LAN settings. But LCS is definitely a lot bigger. But for me, it makes no difference.
And overall, how do you see yourselves? Obviously, we've seen Gambit fall into the wayside today. We've seen Super Hot Crew stepping up. Is there anyone out there that you fear right now? Any teams? Or is it just a case of we can beat everyone, we have full confidence in ourselves?
We can beat everyone. Our only enemy is ourselves.
Yeah, that's easy to say.
Straightforward.
Absolutely. Going to you maybe personally, that you were so hyped before, you were doing so good in the challenger scene, don't you have it in you, or you think, I actually want to do so much better because I want to prove that I'm much better than any of the junglers in here, or is that not something that's important to you?
The most important thing to me is winning, not my own performance obviously counts as well, but as long as we win, and I try to improve every day, I'm fine with it.
So when you're trying to improve, what is it you're looking at in your own gameplay? I mean, other than standard stuff like I must land a smite. I mean, what are you doing? Are you approaching the game any different now that you're in the LCS? Now that it's basically your job.
I still have the same approach. I just try to improve every day, watch what I do wrong, and try to fix it.
And how has the atmosphere been in the group of guys? You're living together with all the guys in one house. How has that been treating you?
It's definitely fun living with the guys. It's a lot of fun. We get great practice in together, and we do stuff together. It's really fun.
The atmosphere is still good, and 2 fantastic victories here. Congratulations once again, Shook. And now we're going to go back to Joe and Aficio to see how the team rankings have changed.